Tonight, are you willing to pay for good health? We speak to the grandfather who used cash saved for a dream holiday for a new hip. He's one of the growing number turning to private healthcare to beat NHS waiting times.
It's made such a difference. I just felt as if I could take on the world, honestly. It was brilliant.
Also making the headlines, the First Minister flies to Washington to try to reduce import tariffs on Scotch whisky imports to the States.
I'll explain why drivers on the country's busiest road are now facing months of delays.
And in sport, chasing a World Cup dream. Scotland gets set to take on Belarus in their latest qualifier. I'm Kellyanne Woodland. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. Would you swap your dream holiday to pay for a new hip? That was a dilemma facing a grandfather from East Kilbride who was in agony with arthritis and was told he could spend potentially years on an NHS waiting list. The 61-year-old is a number of Scots now opting for private surgery, as doctors' leaders warn that we are sleepwalking into a two-tier health system. Statistics show a shift in how people are accessing private treatment. Our chief reporter Sharon Frew has been hearing of one patient's journey back to health.
Tony Daly described the stabbing pain from his hip as like having constant toothache. Everyday tasks were a struggle, and the plumber who works for the NHS relied on painkillers to keep mobile. Back in May, getting a full night's sleep was almost impossible.
To date, I've been waiting 55 weeks to see a consultant. When that goes ahead, they're talking maybe another 2 to 3 years to actually get the surgery done. My hip's deteriorating quite quick. I'm scraping by as it is. Just can't wait that length of time to get fixed.
To celebrate his 60th birthday, Tony had been planning a dream holiday, but he and his wife then decided to use this money for private hip surgery. After researching hospitals, Tony opted to go with Elite Surgery Abroad, a Glasgow-based company which is in partnership with a French clinic. So instead of a cruise to Alaska, Tony spent 3 weeks in Amiens, north of Paris.
It's a wee bit disappointing, but at the end of the day, it's quality of life, and I don't feel I've got that just now.
Tony's health board, NHS Lanarkshire, has some of the longest waits for orthopaedic surgery. More than 1,900 people have waited more than a year for procedures including hip or knee replacements. The Health Board says it recognises the impact that this has on its patients and that it is committed to reducing this backlog. Across Scotland, 1 in 9 people are currently waiting for treatment on an NHS list.
We are already sleepwalking into a two-tier health service where those that can afford to go private, and those that cannot afford have to wait longer and longer in NHS waiting times. And we need a proper workforce plan and a plan that gets implemented urgently.
Clearly my priority is to make sure that we've got the capacity within the health service, the National Health Service in Scotland, to meet the demands of the people of Scotland and their healthcare needs. That's what we're investing in, that's what we're delivering: increased activity, record levels of activity in terms of hip and knee operations, and the highest level of operations delivered in July since February 2020. Private procedures still accounts for, I think it's less than 2% of procedures delivered in Scotland.
The start of 2025 saw the highest number of private hospital and clinic admissions ever recorded in Scotland within a 3-month period. More than 60% of patients used medical insurance. Almost 5,500 paid for the surgery themselves.
We saw a massive rocket in that after COVID, and people, that was definitely psychology, right? So that was people just like panicking. It's a long time since I've seen my doctor. I'll pay anything. Now it's settling. So it's coming down and the private medical insurance is going up. We're going to go across 1 million admissions for private care in the UK this year. So Scotland is just following that trajectory.
Tony paid £11,000 to go to France. Within 18 hours of the surgery, he was up and walking. Intensive physiotherapy followed. 6 weeks later at home, the aftercare is continuing, and he's in the gym every day.
You forget how much you've deteriorated. It's made such a difference. I just felt as if I could take on the world. Family, I've noticed a big difference. They're like, you've learned to smile again. You know what I mean? You look as if you're happy. Obviously, I'm gutted I missed my cruise, but in the same vein, I can't put the price on what I've gained in getting my health back and getting back to normal again.
A financial decision many more may face as efforts to tackle long NHS waits continue.
So we can clearly see that this has been a success for Tony, but there are plenty of others in this situation, aren't there?
Yes, Tony's story will be very familiar to anyone who's currently waiting to see an orthopaedic consultant. For many, it's the not knowing when they'll be seen or when even they'll be operated on that really adds to that stress. And as we've just heard, there has been millions of pounds invested to improve NHS capacity. Some hospitals are now running weekend operations, they're running clinics at the weekend. A number of NHS boards are also working with independent providers to try and manage demand, but for some patients those waits can still be up to 2 to 3 years.
And because of those waits, Sharon, are we seeing a shift in attitudes towards private healthcare?
Well, this has really been evolving post-COVID and it does come at a financial cost for patients like Tony. There has been a shift largely due to the uptake in medical insurance. Some of this is through employers, and this is for people in the age groups and in their 40s and in their 60s. And it's for all the things that start to ache or worsen at that age. It can be your hips, your knees, your eyesight. And also in demand are tests like scopes to test for conditions such as gastric conditions. Of course, the volume of private treatment here is very small compared to what the NHS is dealing with every day. But as you heard from some doctors, they believe the numbers accessing private healthcare is only going to increase.
All right, Sharon. Well, look, thanks for talking us through that. Thank you. The First Minister is flying to Washington to try to reduce import tariffs on Scotch whisky in the US. He'll meet industry and political leaders in the American capital tomorrow. This is a last-minute trip and comes 10 days ahead of President Trump's state visit to the UK. Well, our political editor, Colin Mackay, has the story. Colin, what's he hoping to achieve?
Well, the UK-US trade deal secured a 10% floor on most things that are imported to the US from the UK, and that is already a better deal than most of the rest of the world gets with the US. But the First Minister says he'll do anything he can to get an even better deal on whisky, and that's why he's flying over there right now. And it was very last minute. This was only agreed over the weekend. The US is basically trying to protect its own economy by slapping taxes on imports, but Scotch whisky can't be made in the US, it can only be made in Scotland. So the industry is arguing for zero tariffs, and it already has the support of the industry in the US as well. So when President Trump was over in Scotland during the summer, I asked him if he would take another look at the tariff deal on whisky.
We're talking about the Isle of Lewis, we're talking about serious Scotland. That's serious Scotland. There was no doubt about it. So yeah, it gives me a feeling, it's different. You go to another country, you have no relationship to it. You get to like maybe the head of the country or something. But it's different when your mother was born here, Stornoway, right in Stornoway, a beautiful little place.
So is there a better deal to be done? Is there a better deal to be done for Scotland, for whisky, for example? Because of your love of Scotland, is there a better trade deal to be done for Scottish businesses like whisky?
Well, I assume when we do our trade deal overall, a lot of it comes to Scotland, I hope. Maybe all of it should go to Scotland.
It's a very good deal for the whole United Kingdom, and we've already achieved great things out of the deal, and we'll achieve even more as we work together.
Mr. President, a lot of it is going to Scotland. I mean, I do know that, but I mean, we're dealing with the UK. But a lot of it comes to Scotland. And, I was very particular. This is a part of the world I want to see thrive.
Now, the President didn't even know that this was an issue when I first raised it with him. He said he didn't know that it was a problem. But it's now very much on the agenda ahead of that state visit to the UK in 10 days' time. The First Minister is meeting the UK Ambassador, Lord Mandelson, and staying at the UK Embassy in Washington tonight. He has meetings tomorrow with industry and political leaders. It's not yet clear if he will actually meet President Trump in person, but he is, just in case, being accompanied by the Managing Director of the Isle of Harris distillery, and as President Trump Trump says that's serious Scotland. And whisky is serious business for Scotland. Any cut to the tariffs at all could save the industry millions and could boost jobs.
All right, Colin, thank you very much indeed. Keir Starmer's new ministers have got straight to work after last week's dramatic reshuffle with a promise of tough new policies on immigration. The reshuffle has also put the largest number of Scottish MPs into government for 15 years. Our Westminster correspondent Paris Gertsianis joins us now. So what are the people there making of last week's drama?
Well, Kellyanne, it's clearly being seen as an attempt by the Prime Minister to seize back the agenda after the damaging resignation of his deputy, Angela Rayner. And Keir Starmer is in a meeting of his MPs right now as we speak, trying to drive home that message. We've seen the first results of the shake-up today with this statement from the new Home Secretary of a really tougher line on migration. She says that more asylum seekers could be housed in military bases in future and that visas could be cut for countries that refuse to take back deported citizens. What's also striking about the reshuffle is just how many Scottish MPs have been put into government. Not just the new Scottish Secretary Douglas Alexander, but 8 other Scottish MPs have been given jobs. They include Ian Murray, the outgoing Scottish Secretary, and an interesting name to see there is Zubir Ahmed. He's a Glasgow surgeon who's now serving as a health minister, even though health has devolved, so most of his work will only apply to England. I asked one of the new ministers what impact this would all have on voters and on the Scottish Labour Party as it tries to win next year's Holyrood election.
Well, I think what people will see is that Anas Sarwar is a leader who has real influence with the UK government and is someone who is leading change rather than the current SNP government who more and more people I think are thinking are the barrier to change in Scotland. We're all Team Labour, we're all working together on the same aims, which are to improve living standards, to get the economy growing and turn around everything that's broken in this country.
You mentioned Ian Murray has been given a ministerial job after being sacked from the cabinet. What's happened there, Paris?
That is a good question. On Friday, Number 10 was very clear that Ian Murray has left the government. Then on Saturday evening, we learned that he'd accepted a more junior role as tourism minister, and he'll also have some say on science and technology policy. I've seen many demotions from cabinet, but nothing quite like this. It's clear that there was real unhappiness in Scottish Labour at the way that Ian Murray had been treated. Number 10 would have been aware of that. Officially, the line is that this was the Prime Minister's choice. What really happened, only 2 men know, and neither of them has commented yet.
All right, Paris, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Now, if you're a driver likely to be using the M8 anytime soon, expect more delays. There's more roadworks to contend with, and they're going to last well into next year. Raheem Cham reports.
Roadworks on Scotland's busiest road begins today. The £10 million programme of bridge repairs and road upgrades began on the M8 at junction 26 Hillington intersection this morning. The works will span both the eastbound and westbound carriageways. Major disruption is anticipated during the 9 months of works, especially for people heading towards Glasgow Airport, Queen Elizabeth University Hospital and Braehead, as well as commuters to Glasgow. It also adds more headaches for drivers in the west, with disruption already an issue further up the motorway, with ongoing works at the Woodside Viaduct. The latest project will see significant upgrades to 4 key bridge structures, including work for vehicle parapets, waterproofing, safety barriers and resurfacing. Diversions will begin or will be put in place while the improvements are made.
Raheem Cham reporting there. A woman from Glasgow who was missing for over a month in Greece before her body was found died by drowning. Michelle Borda disappeared from a beach near the city of Kavala. Her husband is said to have woken up on a sunbed to find her gone. The 59-year-old's body was found last week. According to reports in the Greek media, she likely drowned. Now, parents whose premature babies were taken care of at Wishaw General's award-winning neonatal unit say plans to downgrade the service are devastating and dangerous. Scottish Government proposals would see the number of neonatal intensive care units cut from 8 to 3 in Glasgow, Edinburgh and Aberdeen. A petition against the plans has already gathered more than 25,000 signatures. Caitlin Hutchison reports.
Here in Wishaw General's specialist neonatal unit, proud parents are spending precious time with their babies. It's been a whirlwind for Andy and Marion after their baby girl arrived unexpectedly at 24 weeks.
She wasn't expected till like November, so yeah, this place is absolutely brilliant, blinding.
But the service here is at risk of being downgraded from level 3 care to level 2, with plans to concentrate specific intensive care wards in just 3 hospitals.
For Olivia, I mean, we come in every day. If you put us up in Aberdeen, where are you going to put us? Yeah, where are we going to be?
This neonatal unit is one of only 8 across Scotland that provide intensive care to premature and seriously ill babies. Now, none of them will close under the current plans, but services would be downgraded, and families say that having to go to Aberdeen, Glasgow or Edinburgh for care could put lives at risk. Lynn knows just how vital this care can be. Her son Innes was born at 23 weeks and spent 4 months in intensive care.
Innes weighed a total of 600 grams and was just tiny. You would literally fit in the palm of your hands. Quite often the neonatal journey is referred to as a roller coaster. That's nowhere near. It's a roller coaster that's come off the tracks. You're literally putting your baby's life in their hands. So having somebody so close by that you know and that you trust, it's just invaluable.
That experience is why she launched a petition to save the service, one that's been backed by thousands of parents. Among them is Michelle, whose son Owen weighed under a kilo when he was born by emergency C-section.
I think it would be devastating for families, like the potential for tiny babies to be separated from their mums, mothers to be isolated from their families, both physically and mentally. It's just, it feels like it's too good to lose.
Today, MSPs on Holyrood's Petitions Committee visited the hospital to hear those concerns from families directly. They'll continue to hear evidence before reporting back to Parliament.
I think the question for us as a committee is, was the discussion that took place, was the consultation, was the clinical evidence that was considered sufficiently robust to justify that decision to 3, or should this award-winning facility here in Wishaw be one that potentially we ask the government to think again about? 3 weeks.
The Scottish Government says it's listening to concerns but insists the plans are based on clinical evidence. For families here, it's simple. They say without Wishaw's specialist care, some babies might not make it home at all. Caitlin Hutchison, STV News, Wishaw.
All right, all your sport now with Jamie in Scotland back in action again tonight.
Yeah, it was a solid start to the campaign, Kellyanne, but tonight's one of those dangerous games because it's one that they're expected to win.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Good evening. John McGinn says he doesn't want to endure the pain of never experiencing a World Cup for Scotland ahead of tonight's second qualifying match against Belarus. The game will be played behind closed doors in Hungary, and head coach Steve Clarke has hinted at a more attacking lineup to chase what would be a crucial 3 points.
For most of this squad, the course of World Cup qualifying is no novelty, but having known only disappointment in the quest to return Scotland to football's biggest stage, the motivation to make it to the tournament next year couldn't be clearer.
I remember being in the dressing room when certain players realised that it was their last chance to qualify for a World Cup, and I saw it in their faces. I could feel the pain, and I don't want us to go through that same experience. So I think we know what's at stake. We're no stupid, we're not going to be playing forever, but the exciting thing for Scotland fans is you've got players like Doki coming through, players who are helping us.
After Friday night's goalless draw with Denmark, Scotland remained in Copenhagen to prepare for Belarus, who are Group C's lowest ranked team.
Obviously, when you go to Denmark, you're playing against a pot 1 team away from home. You know you're probably not going to have the majority of possession. You know you're going to have to defend really well. Tomorrow, hopefully, we can have more of the ball. We can use the ball better. We can create more chances with the ball, more clean chances with the ball. We still created chances the other night in Denmark. If we can create more clean chances with the ball, then that should help us to get the result that we want.
Tonight's match takes place in Hungary behind closed doors due to UEFA sanctions regarding Belarus's support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The empty stadium will recall memories of Scotland's Euro 2020 qualifying success, which took place during the COVID pandemic.
The Serbian game was closed doors, and we were definitely all up for that. So that's the kind of thing that would be harder. But again, the magnitude of the games, knowing that we need to get the win, I think we should be motivated enough, and there shouldn't be an issue. And the players have experienced plenty of it, and hopefully it will be a comfortable one.
And kick-off tonight is at 7:45. Now, a number of Celtic supporters groups have called a vote of no confidence in the club's board of directors. It comes after unrest regarding Celtic's summer transfer business, which prompted a statement from the club this weekend. Addressing the fans, it said the spotlight on transfer dealings had included inaccurate information in the media and online. The Celtic board said they were subject to UEFA spending regulations, which restricted their activity in bringing in players. And finally, the board expressed regret and disappointment over not achieving all of its goals in the summer transfer window.
This feels very much like it's snowballing, and it's gained a good bit of momentum. You know, Celtic fans are very passionate, and you know, you would maybe even say activists in a kind of broader scale. You know, and having a unified cause to kind of to chase down that is for the betterment of the club. I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
To the women's game, and Rangers have moved to the top of the SWPL following their win over Celtic, while Hearts defeated champions Hibs in the Edinburgh derby. Second half goals from Mia McCauley and Ailey Austin secured all 3 points for Rangers away at New Douglas Park. In the capital, Georgia Tim's penalty midway through the second half put Hearts 1-up at Tynecastle before Jessica Husband sealed the win late on. On to rugby, and new Glasgow Warriors fly half Dan Lancaster feels the move to the Scotstoun side is his best route to represent the Scotland national team. Lancaster, who was born in Yorkshire and whose father Stuart was previously head coach of England, joined Warriors from French side Racing 92 in July this year.
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a reason. Through my grandma, who's from Dumfries, so it'd be an honour to represent her and represent international. But again, just for the start, I need to earn the respect of the players, the coaches, hopefully get a few games under my belt and see what happens.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
And the Scotland team to face Belarus has 4 changes from the side that drew with Denmark. In come Ben Gannon Doak, Billy Gilmore, Scott McKenna and Max Johnston. Lyndon Dykes, Ryan Christie, Grant Hanley and Aaron Hickey are dropping to the bench. All the details on the STV Sport website.
All the very latest there from you, Jamie. All right, thanks, Jamie. Thanks very much. OK, time to get your weather forecast now from Philip. And quite a rare sight in the sky last night, although I have to fess up, I completely missed it.
Oh, well, no surprise there, Kellyanne. You're normally in bed for what, 7:30?
I wish I was.
Actually, there was quite a lot going on in the sky last night. We had our 9th full moon of the year, which is called the corn moon, which was also a blood moon because of its reddish tinge, and it was a total lunar eclipse too, for the lucky few who got to witness it. Unfortunately, the expectation was more exciting than the reality because there was quite a bit of cloud around it last night, making it difficult to see. I got up at 1:30 in the morning and managed to see the full moon itself. But if you were able to witness the eclipse, then count yourself lucky, as the next total lunar eclipse isn't until December 2028. Here's the forecast.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, over the next couple of days, things are remaining settled, fairly fine, and it will be feeling pleasantly warm in any sunshine. It's not until we get to Wednesday that things start to go downhill once again with the arrival of this area of low pressure from the Atlantic. That will push in a series of frontal systems across Scotland. Those fronts bring with them bands of rain, and as you can see, we've got tightly packed isobars, so the winds will be strengthening by the middle of the week. Back to just now though, as we head into the overnight period to begin with, still the risk of 1 or 2 scattered showers spreading in from the south this evening, but then as we head into the early hours of tomorrow morning, the risk of those showers will ease and it will be turning largely dry. We'll see some lengthy clear spells. Where we've got the clear conditions, temperatures in some rural spots could get down to around 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, and under the clear skies there's also another chance of catching that full moon. So looking ahead to tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning, One or two showers just spreading in around parts of Ayrshire, Renfrewshire, Argyll and Bute, but on the whole, for many of us, a largely dry afternoon to come. Plenty of sunshine around. In the best of the brightness, temperatures reaching highs around 18 or 19 degrees Celsius. Our winds are coming in from the south and the southeast, dragging in warmer air, so those temperatures up a degree or two compared to today. Looking ahead to Wednesday, like I said, that's when things start to go downhill. We'll see bands of heavy and persistent rain moving west to east throughout the afternoon, stronger winds and highs of 19. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, check out this little chicklet. A Chilean flamingo baby has hatched at Edinburgh Zoo for the first time in a decade. Now, you might be wondering why it looks more like a cygnet. Well, that's because flamingos aren't actually born pink. They develop the colour over the first few years of their lives by eating food that's rich in orange or red pigment, like algae and crustaceans. Now you know. Well, that's all we have time for this evening, but from all of us here in the Dream, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.